So, 2 months ago, about when we were starting this project, a couple of my friends dragged me to line dancing in Hamburg, to a place that I will refer to as DJ's. DJ's was the epitome of an all-American establishment. To get in, they stamped your hand with an American flag. Everybody wearing cowboy hats, jeans, cowboy boots, American flag t-shirts, just stars and bars as far as the eye could see. I got in there. The second song that played was entitled God Loves Texas. I chuckled. The chorus would simply be everybody yells out, God loves Texas, and continue dancing. I thought it was humorous. Until the last reprise of the chorus, where I looked around as it happened, and instead of God hates Texas, these group of, let's say, 60 or 70 individuals, all under the age of 21, line dancing at a bar, tilted back, bellies towards the skies, and screamed out, God hates niggers. I was appalled. I didn't know what to do. I stumbled out of there in shock and thought, this place was all American. And unity. They could all say such a hateful thing. What does it mean about our identity that these people are willing to say it? And so it plunged me into the idea of to what extent is this our identity, whether we like it or not? So then, as I said, that was my research question. To what extent is intolerance part of the American identity? And just to prove, I'll get into some of this later, but this is the country of the Ku Klux Klan. This is the country that was torn apart by a civil war that was started basically to argue the institution of slavery. We awarded homosexuals the right to marry, this year, this June, years behind Britain and Canada. Is this part of us? So my main claim is that it always has been, and to a certain extent it always will be, no matter how unfortunate that is. This is a Twitter post about a Miss America who won. Miss America, she was Arabian of some denomination. And there was outcry because of how close the date was to 9/11. And this is just the difference of what groups we are discriminatory towards. But I'll get into that later. So then my first subclaim is breaking down discrimination and prejudice and how it comprises a larger idea of intolerance. Prejudice, as I have here, is a feeling of dislike for a racial or ethnic group. It is an implicit attitude. It is something that actually cannot be controlled. It is something that you have within you, and you have those prejudices. Discrimination is that prejudice with actions that harm those that you have prejudice against. It's very different. One needs prejudice to have discrimination, but not the other way around. So then, just to dive further into that, America was founded on intolerance that was comprised of both prejudice and discrimination. It had the combination of the two. Today, prejudice is staying steady, proved by my independent research based on polling and interviews, but discrimination rates are falling based on current events. We can see that we are making progress towards being a more inclusive, more equality-based country. And then an interesting subclaim is that there seems to be a growing counter-discrimination prejudice, which is a mouthful, but it basically is illustrated in this cartoon right here. I like being black, that's nice. I like being white, you're racist. The idea that a certain group, which is more privileged than the other, has certain opinions, makes them bigots. And there are my reference page. And the conclusion for that would just be education. There's not much we can do. The one good, hopeful sign here is that when I did my independent research, which I took a small microcosm of a high school, and then also some close family of mine, and conducted their IAT, or implicit attitude test, which tests prejudice but not discrimination, the older you are, the more likely you were to show strong prejudices, but my sister, who's in the 3rd grade, showed none. None did any of her friends. So it's good to know.
Go ahead.
What information did you need that you weren't able to find or locate? And how did you go about trying to find that information?
Well, I was trying to get some specifics on some IATs, which I addressed a little bit, which measures prejudice. So that claim I had about prejudice is staying steady, I was only able to make that claim based on my IAT results, because it is obvious that discrimination is falling. I wasn't able to find conclusive IAT results because they're somewhat confidential, locked up in Harvard. Harvard shares it with George Washington, and they conduct that study. And they don't have specifics. They have general ideas, but they don't have specifics. And so to remedy that, I actually made my own survey that I sent out. People took the IAT, put in a couple of demographics, and entered into my form so that I could just see a basic layout and find some common threads or themes. I know a lot of you took it. Thank you for that. It helped a lot. I was able to see some really interesting data with that. And the biggest one, as I already expressed, was age. It's getting better.
What might the real-world implications or consequences of your findings, and specifically, how do you see that impacting our community?
I don't see there being many negatives in teaching equality. It's all, I mean, we want to make sure we don't stray away from whitewashing. We want to make sure that we teach, you know, like individualism, you know what I mean? But as far as I'm concerned, teaching that people are equal and that there aren't reasons that you should dislike others, there isn't a negative